All right, y'all. So I know what you learned yesterday, or I know what you should have learned yesterday, but I wasn't here to teach it. So tell me what you learned yesterday. You started designing a car. What'd you learn about those cars, about those design choices? What'd you learn? Terrence?
That I loved it and I copied a link of it.
Okay, so it was one of your favorite activities we've done. All right. Aiden G, what'd you learn?
I learned that a curved surface produces more wind so your car doesn't slow down.
Yes. Okay. It's the same way. Think about when you're putting your hand out the window in a car. If you put your hand like this, your hand kind of like goes like this and you can feel the wind. But if you put your hand like this, what happens? Your arm flies straight back, right? Because your hand, when it's flat, is not a curved surface. So it's going to have the wind pushing against it. When your hand is curved or turned flat, boop, the wind can't push against it. It goes right over it or right under it. Okay. Very important. Terrence, what else did we learn?
The cars have wheels and axles.
Cars do have wheels and axles, simple machines at work. Woo woo. What else did we learn yesterday? Yes, Leah.
So what I learned is different type of wheels can go on different type of roads.
Yes, there are different wheels for different kinds of roads, okay? You might have heard of snow tires. Some people who live in areas where it's really snowy and icy a lot have a completely different set of tires that they put on so their car is more safe on the road. Very true. Yes, Terrence.
We learned that, or I didn't learn, but my class learned that that a wing does not make you go faster; it makes you turn faster or better.
Yes, the spoiler, or a lot of people call it a wing on the back of that car. A lot of people thinks that makes you go faster. No, that actually helps you be able to navigate turns more easily so that when you turn, the wind is thrown off of that wing rather than pushing down on the back end of the car. Great. Aiden G, what else did we learn?
So we learned that we needed to choose like a type of wheel because if you like picked a random wheel and it wasn't smooth, your car would just like bump and bump, and that wind would go under it and push it up.
Yes, when you are trying to get speed on a car, you do not want bumpy tires, okay? Now, a lot of Jeeps have bumpy tires, and that's because Jeeps aren't built for speed. They're built for dirt and mud and mountains and rocks. So those bumps help it navigate over that road. But when we're just driving, we don't want bumpy tires. We want smooth tires so that they have less friction. Woo, y'all learned a lot. What else, Tim?
That a wing in the back of the car makes it more aerodynamic.
Yes, it adds to that aerodynamics.
Can help turns be faster. Yeah.
Excellent. Y'all are jumping ahead. Aerodynamic is one of our vocabulary words, and you guys already got background knowledge. Let's go. Will, what'd you learn?
Well, I wouldn't go, but my dirt bike has off-road tires and it has those bumps. Go
Okay.
off-road.
All right. So, yes, our tires can help us in different situations, such as off roading or speed. Aiden G.
So I learned that like the level of that the wing, it can like cause more friction because if it's low, like it'll slow you a little down.
Yes. Yes. So, you want the height of that wing will also change the direction that that wind is going to fly off of. Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we are gearing up for our Mint Mobile. Okay. I am finally ready to tell you how you will be designing your cars. You will be utilizing a program or a website that you probably had practice with before called Tinker, okay? On Tinker, you are going to be designing an object that you will be cutting out on the laser printer one day soon. One of our lessons, I will take our computer down to the laser printer and show you your car being cut out so that you can observe it. And it will end up looking something a little bit like this, or maybe even like this, or perhaps even like this. Okay, so you are going to be laser cutting the sides of your car. All right, you're going to want to think about the aerodynamics of the car that you create. Now, we will be talking more as we get closer about the specifics of your car, like the fact that it has to have a seat for a Lego minifig driver, or the fact that it has to have 2 wheels and axles. We'll get into all of that. But I do want you to understand that you will be designing that car, okay? It is important that you understand the design process is not, I'm done, okay? I'm done. We'll give you a terrible car and I guarantee you will lose. What we need is a design process that takes thought, time, and energy. So to show you how much thought, time, and energy goes into real cars, we're going to take a look at 2 car factories today. One of these car factories is the Nissan car factory, and you will notice a lot of their cars are very familiar to you, and they will look familiar to you. They're made out of metal, they have factory parts, and the like. The next factory that we're going to look at is probably a car that you have not seen. And I don't want to spoil anything, so we won't go there. But as we watch these videos, I want you to think about how much time and effort goes into designing and building the cars, because you are going to be expected to spend time and effort on your cars as well. And here we go. Car bodies are made from rolls of steel. This is the metal that cars are made of, just rolled up like aluminum foil. With many rolls, the stiffer and the corrosion is less likely. A huge 5,000-ton press stamps steel into shapes. The steel sheets are cut and pressed using dies. The stamp presses them from above. Dies consist of upper and lower sections that vary by model and part. Inside the plant, there are about 9,000 pairs of dies. After stamping, the pressed steel is put on a special dolly. After a quality check, the freshly stamped parts are moved to the body assembly shop. Door, floor, and roof panels are welded during assembly. With the body frame in position, welding machines get to work. Lots of gears and axles there. Machine arms with forked tips weld parts at intervals of 2 to 5 centimeters. This is an assembly line where you see all the cars being put together. The welded bodies are assembled alongside other panels, including trunks and fenders. After further quality checks, the assembled bodies are ready for painting. 3 coats of paint are applied with the final coat the color ordered by the customer. Starting to look more like a car. At the parts assembly shop, components are added to the completed car bodies. So now we're going to see some men coming in, adding 3,000 to 4,000 parts by assembly line workers. 2 workers must work together to mount the larger parts of the car, such as engines, transmissions, and suspension systems. They use special adjustable carriages which improve efficiency and reduce physical demands on workers. From below, workers check that the assembly is correct. Next, the wheels are added. Followed by front and rear windows. With the outer assembly complete, the focus turns to inside the car. This includes adding the engine and brake oil. While robots attend to the seats, and then there is a final check. Further checks are made to ensure the car runs smoothly. So right now there are actually 2 wheels underneath the wheels that are making the car run in place. And the parts under the car are also examined. Bright lights are used to ensure no scratches or stains, with the human element vital for final checks. After a shower test, the car is complete. Then it leaves the factory. Completed cars are moved to the nearby port. At the port, all the cars built at the plant are briefly stored before being shipped domestically or overseas. All right, so I want you to notice that these people who made these cars did not go with some robot scissors and say, done, right? How many checks did you guys see? How many times did they check over that car and see what needed fixed? Terrence?
About like 10 times.
Yeah, there were a lot of checks, okay? They would cut it, then they'd check to make sure it fit. Then the robots would weld it together, then a human would check to make sure it was actually stuck. Then they'd put the engine on and a man would check to make sure it was secured in there. Tons and tons and tons of checks, okay? They didn't go, cool, robot cut it, I'm done. And we're gonna do the same thing with our laser cutter. We're not gonna say, yay, the laser cut it, we're done, right? We're gonna test it. They did a shower test. They literally put the car in a huge shower so that when it rains, it didn't get soaking wet inside. And if it did, there was a problem, okay? They put it on those rollers so that it could speed up and slow down. And they checked to make sure that the car ran okay and it didn't turn sideways. And if it did, they had to go back and fix it. So lots and lots and lots of checks, okay? Now, this is the one I'm excited about. This car is called a Morgan car. And a Morgan car will actually cost you about $250,000 at their most expensive. Okay, that's $250,000. On the less expensive end, they're about $130,000. okay? That is more than the cost of houses, okay? So these cars are very, very, very expensive. Now, the reason they're very, very, very expensive is not just because they're cool, not just because they're fancy, but it's because of how much time and energy is put into these cars. You are not going to see any robots working on these cars. These cars are put together puzzle piece by puzzle piece by puzzle piece by human hands. And because they take so much time and energy and care, people are willing to pay more for them. So I want you to think about that with the car that you're going to design. The more time and energy and care that you put into that car, the better chance it is of going to be able to win that race. Okay? Steve, a question.
This is actually why they price up cars. Because big corporations know that humans aren't the smartest people around. So they use that to their advantage to bang up the price so people will pay more and they'll get more money.
They can, conspiracy theorist. All right, let's take a look at the Morgan car. And again, I want you to pay attention to how much time, energy, effort, checking, redoing is put into this. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to the wood mill. This is where every single component of the famous Morgan ash frame begins. Each one is marked out from a template and roughly cut out before a more accurate finish is achieved on the spindle moulder. The joints and trenches are then routed out. So the finished components come out of the mill and are put onto this rack, ready for sub-assembly in the detail area. So here we can see Nick gluing up some of the door components. He then places it in the jig, lets it set, and removes any residual glue from the joints.
And you're seeing it
I'll
right,
just pick
all
up
wood.
the pre-assembled components off the shelf, take them round to the bandsaw, trim off the excess, put them in, go in my vise and clean it all up. We do this process for the whole frame. When it's finished, it gets sent out to the dipping shed. Okay, here we are in the chassis shop. This is where we build the actual aero-based products. The guys here are actually building up the structure, so we've got powertrain, suspension, wiring looms, fuel tank, etc. Once that's built up, it'll get dropped onto the ground and been sent off for testing. Okay, so this is the chassis shop where we build a traditional car. This design's not changed since the 1930s. It's a ladder frame design. Again, this is where we build up the actual suspension units, drivetrain, bulkhead, gearbox, etc. Once that's built, it'll get dropped onto the floor and get pushed down to the next shop where it'll go to body mounts.
And here we are in the sheet metal department. This is how the bodies come to us from the wood shop. Bare wood. We then panel that all in aluminium with different panels. Some of them are pre-cut, some of them we have to put our own patterns on to mark round and form. So we get that clamped on, and then we use a hammer to knock the edges over on the body, making sure everything's nice and tight. We take the panel off, where it's trimmed to suit, and then we block and hammer it up to make sure the edges are nice and neat. We paint the panel. This is to protect it from rust. We're using a DA and a foil. We make sure all the panel is nice and smooth and tidy. On some of the panels, we roll an edge over. This is so that we can wire the panel for extra strength. Once the body's been completely panelled, we push it into the next department, so that when the rolling chassis has been pushed into the shop, each guy can choose which correct body goes on which correct chassis. Sealant's put along the top of the chassis, so that when the body goes on, everything's completely sealed. The wings are fitted, the cowl fitted, everything's checked over. This is where the wiring loom's fitted, the gearbox covers, and all other small details. The bonnet is then rolled and made to suit each car. Once that bonnet's finished, the car goes to the end of the workshop where it's pushed down into the paint shop.
This is the bare aluminium and chassis from the assembly shop, which comes into our first stage, which we inspect for dents and imperfections in the panels here. So if there's any problems, it goes back up to the assembly shop. We place the car on dollies just to make it more accessible to move around the shop. And then from here it goes to the second stage. It's all sanded down to a 180 finish and then filled in any areas that need to be filled. And then it's taken from the second stage to the third stage, which is the primer stage. All the little bits of the imperfections are sanded out to a smooth, ready paintable finish.
This is stage 2 of paint. This is where all the panels we put on the racks and the car masked off, ready for degreasing. Once we've done that, we will then mix the paint. The great thing about Morgan's is we have 40,000 different colours to pick from. We can even match any colour possible.
40,000 colors.
When the car's finished in the paint shop, it gets pushed into stage 1 of the trim shop. At this stage, the leather and carpets specified by the customers are prepared, sewn up and fitted into the car before it moves on to bright work. At this stage, the windscreens are fitted, the side screens and all the other small fixings, ready for the car to move on to have the weather equipment fitted. The hood materials are marked out and cut ready for machining. Our machinists then sew the hoods together, ready to be marked out on the car. Every hood frame is manufactured on site in our machine shop, and every hood is fitted individually and tailored to each car. The seats, which are again trimmed on site, get fitted into the car before the car moves on to final finish on the other side of the workshop. In final finish, the cars are fully assembled to their completed state, ready for their road test.
Right, now after final finish, we get in the car and take it out for a test drive, check all the instruments are working, check if there's any rattles, check the gauges and checking all the switches. Having a drive round like this with the top down's brilliant. It's one of the perks of the job.
This is PDI, pre-delivery inspection. After all cars are road tested, they will all come into this department. They'll be all checked over. Any imperfections in the paintwork will be polished out. Any scratches, any marks. The lads will polish the complete car all over. Then once they've completely finished, they're happy with all the work, it will go along to Phil. Phil will also check the paintwork. Then he'll clean all the interior, the leather, windows, check all the spec to make sure it's what the customer ordered.
3 weeks after the car started production, it's finally ready to be handed over.
Did you hear that? 3 weeks. 3. So if they work 5 days a week, that's 15 days. 15 days to make one car.
The customer can then join the Morgan community and start their adventure.
So there is the Morgan car. What did you think? Yes, William.
That would mean it would take a month to get 2 cars done.
It does.
So 2 months to get only 4 cars done.
You're right. Yep. So if it's one team, they're going to finish 2 cars in 1 whole month. It's a lot of time. Yes, Tim.
Are you gonna give us a link for Ticker and Cat for the Mint Mobile?
When it is
thing?
time, yes. Leah.
So, 2 things. One, I knew what a Morgan was, and number 2 is, when are we gonna get the materials for the catapult?
Same time you'll get them for the car.
Okay.
Which is later this week. What connections to the video did we make, Terrence?
Are them cars still made?
They are still being made, yes. Morgan cars are still being made. They are made in the United Kingdom. So over near Britain, it's where they're made. Other questions?
Can you still buy them here?
You can buy them, like you could buy them at their website, and then they would ship it over to you through either a plane or a large boat. Okay.
Over there in Britain.
One of the things that I want you to get through your head is you are not going to get done with this car design in 1 day. Okay. I don't care how hard you work. If you design it and you're done, awesome. You've still got to test it. You've got to make sure it's going to go the farthest. You've got to make sure it drives straight. You've got to make sure it doesn't drag on the ground. You've got to make sure the wheels turn. There are a lot of things that we're going to check. Okay. All right, friends, I want you to hop onto this activity with me. It is called Mint Mobile Research Day 1. If you would like to watch these videos again later or show them to your adult, they are linked there for you. For now, go ahead and click on that add response. You will see link or slide 1 is the 2 links that we just watched about the Nissan car factory and the Morgan car factory. 2 very different factories, still both taking a lot of time. I want you to hop to slide 2, please. Aerodynamic. Yesterday, you guys got a pretty good definition down of aerodynamic based on our conversation. We're going to define this word and discuss its importance on our car, okay? I want you to think about aerodynamics and what that means as we watch this short little clip here. What are car aerodynamics and why might they be important to consider when designing your car? This is wind that you're seeing. So these are powered wind streams. They're being blown straight, and look what's happening as they go over the car. There's another. Okay, notice it's coming out straight and it starts to change. What happens here? It goes up. Okay, they're filling it up. They're getting ready to blow it straight. Watch what happens. And as it travels over the cars, it begins to change its form and shape. And naturally straightens out. So these cars have all been designed very aerodynamic. What's happening? Notice there what that did with the spoiler. Okay, so keeping that in mind, what is aerodynamics? What are we seeing here? William?
Aerodynamic is when, like in the video, the wind, the air or smoke or whatever, it went under and over the car because the windshield is like, it's a curved surface, so it goes like this, so it goes like that. And then it also went under the car, so they met up back together and had a place to go.
Notice that word that you just used, windshield. That you guys might not have put that together. It shields the wind. It keeps it away. Great. So yes, it has to do with the way air is moving over a surface. Yes, Tim.
What was the question again?
What is aerodynamics? How would you define aerodynamic?
Aerodynamic. Something that's aerodynamic is something that can move through the wind and not get blown too hard by the wind.
Yes. That's a great way to put it. Something that can be moved through the wind without being pulled or blown by it. Yes. Aiden G, what's your definition?
Aerodynamic is a wind force of an object that like pushes off something, but doesn't like push it away.
Yes, we want the wind, the air to push off of that surface. We don't want it to push against our surface, okay? Kind of like if you've ever been outside on a windy day. When you go outside on the windy day and it hits you, what happens? You go, because your body is flat. It is not very aerodynamic, okay? Versus, sorry y'all, I pulled my cord here. Versus if you were to be laying down in the wind, it would just travel over your face and it'd feel kind of nice, like a little warm nap, okay? But yes, aerodynamics, we want it to push over a surface. We don't want it to push on a surface. Terrence, something to add?
So first, can you put it in chat? But the aerodynamics is something that pushes some air or something pushes on the car and goes upwards or below it, and that makes this, and it causes friction.
Yes, your aerodynamics is not only with the top of your car, right? Not only with the way that it's going to be shaped, but also underneath. That's why when you look under a car, they try to make all of those parts as flat as possible. Because if they had a big, huge rectangular engine block and then a big old fat muffler pipe and then a big old fat transmission, you'd have a lot of lack of aerodynamic there. The wind would be hitting that rectangle, hitting that block, hitting that engine, and slowing the car down, okay?
You don't want wind in your engine.
You do not want that in your engine. You are correct. So let's take a look at aerodynamics. We're going to write these definitions together. Aerodynamics is studying how air moves over an object to create less drag and more lift. Okay, so we want less drag, and yes, I'm putting this in the chat. We want less drag. We want less of the wind to be dragging the car down and slowing it. And we want more lift. We want that wind to kind of push our car up so it goes faster. aerodynamics is very important in cars. It is even more important in flight. You do not want drag to happen on your airplane, okay? You definitely want lift to happen on your airplane. So it's going to be how air moves over an object to create less drag and more lift. So when you design your car and the first time you run it, okay, if it is pretty slow, you've got a lot of drag and you're going to want to think about how can I redesign this? Okay. Aesthetics. This is like the Morgan car. Okay. Aesthetics is what a lot of you guys were concerned about yesterday on your car designs. Putting cool flames on the side of your car, making it look cool with the color red or the color gold. Okay. Now, I hate to break it to you because some of you put this yesterday. Some of you said the flames on the car will make it go faster. They won't. Okay. And here's why. Okay. Here's what the flames are. All right. The flames on a car are like me taking this sticker and saying, go faster. Okay. I promise you, if I go outside and run right now, and then I go, wait, and try to run again, I'm not going any faster. I look different, but it's not going to make me go faster. Okay. So aesthetics are things that make the car attractive or pretty, okay? They're what make the cars look cool. They have nothing to do with speed. So a question was, Miss Sousa, can we color our car? Absolutely. If you want to color your car, go for it. Is coloring your car going to make it go faster because you color it red and red cars are fast? Nope. Okay. No more than if I put on a red shirt, would I be able to run faster? It's the same thing with cars. A lot of people think, ooh, that car's red. It must go fast because we see red cars in movies and they're fast. But no, that has nothing to do with it. Okay. Yes, Terrence.
I mean, if you wanted to put like, say I was wearing just a normal white shirt and I was running, I could run slow and then I would put on another shirt and go faster on purpose.
You could, but the shirt itself would have nothing to do with that. Okay. Now, some questions. Does a boost make a car go faster? Yes. If you have some nitrous and a engine that accepts that nitrous, then yes, your car is going to go faster. That is not aesthetics. That is aerodynamics. Aesthetics is anything that changes the look of the car without changing the aerodynamics. Okay. So this car is going to be pretty aerodynamic. If I get my marker and color it blue, the aerodynamics did not change. Now, if I said, I want to redesign my car, this one's kind of fat and wide, I want to make it skinnier. Well, now we've messed with aerodynamics. That's not aesthetics. We've changed the shape of the car, and that's going to change the way that it drives. Okay. So aesthetics is anything that just changes the look without changing the aerodynamics. All right, so let's go ahead and get that copied into your assignment, please, so you have that. So I'm going to be asking you, when you are creating your car and you say, ooh, I'm going to make a change, I'm going to ask you, are you making an aerodynamic or an aesthetic change? And you're going to need to be able to tell me which it is and how you know. Okay. Yes, Leah.
So when you print our cars, is it going to be made out of paper or cardboard?
We are most likely going to go, well, let me rephrase your question. We've tested a few as teachers. Your choices were always going to be foam board or cardboard. What we have found is that the foam board tears very easily. So here. So you can see right here, this, goodness, that's hard to manipulate. This got torn and all we did was put a straw in it. Okay. So because of that, we know that it's going to be better if you guys use cardboard. It's more sturdy. So your cars will be made out of cardboard. Okay, that is what our printing material will be. All right, variable. A variable is something that can change on a design. Okay, something that can change on a design. So your variables are going to be things like spoilers, or having 6 wheels instead of 3 wheels, or having only 3 wheels instead of 4 wheels, or changing it so that your front of your car is more of a triangle shape than a box shape. So there are things that you can change on your design. When you are asked to redesign your car, I am going to ask you what variable you changed. So what change did you make on your design? And you are going to be expected to answer that question. Okay. Any questions on these vocabulary words so far? Okay. These are words that we will be using. If you are going to design a car, you must understand them, because I control your access to the materials. I control your entrance to the race. I am the race master. Okay. So if I look at you and I say, well, how did you make your car aerodynamic? And you say, huh? I'm going to say, ooh, sorry, you're not coming to the race. Okay. So make sure these words, as we're using them, that you're using them too to get them in your head. Okay. Questions? Okay. Let's hop to slide 3, please. Oh, questions. They were late, but here they are. Yes, Tim.
What if they don't remember what they are?
Then they're going to have to do some research to remember, or they cannot come to the race. And yes, we are very serious. I have 3rd graders every year crying because they didn't take this seriously and they could not answer the questions for the race. Okay, so make sure you've got your questions on lock. And when I'm using these words, you got it down. Okay. Yes, Terrence.
I mean, that's kind of mean.
It is not mean. It is completely in your control.
I mean, they may not know something.
You think if Mr. Kemper walked in here and said, all right, Miss Sousa, how are you going to teach reading today? And I said, I don't know. You think I get to keep my job?
No, but you have control of the race.
And Mr. Kemper has control of this school. That's my point. This is how the world works, buddy. If you're going to show up for something, you've got to be prepared. And if you don't know how to race a car, well, that's really unsafe. Why would I let you do that? All right. All right. Hop to slide 3, please. This says, discuss these questions with your partner. Notice the discuss game. All right. Discuss these questions with your partner. Be ready to share your ideas with your class. Here's your chance, guys. Aerodynamics, aesthetics, variables. You are going to go discuss and write down the answers to these 3 questions. Why are aerodynamics important on a car design? We're going to focus on this question first. Why are aerodynamics important to a car design? Collect your thoughts. I'm going to set up your breakout rooms. Why are aerodynamics important to a car design? Think, think, think. Okay, here come your invites. Answer question 1, write it down. Question was, why are aerodynamics important on a car design? Will I am, why are they important?
Aerodynamics are important on your car design because if it's windy, they can
aerodynamics control whether your car gets blown away by the wind or whether your car keeps going because your car is curved, so it goes like that.
Beautiful. Aerodynamics are important on your car design because they control how your car responds to the wind. Now, Miss Sousa, what if it's not a windy day? I'm so glad you asked. Y'all ever been sitting on the side of a road and a car drives by and your hair goes, well, maybe not your hair because some of y'all got short hair, but your shirt, your body, your face feels whoosh like this? You ever had that? That's because cars are generating that wind force as well, okay? You ever roll down a window and you put your hand out and you tip it up and it goes and throws back? Yes, because that is a wind force on your car, okay? Now, I am not copying these answers because you were told to type them with your partners. So this is going to be your work, but these are ideas you could have. Any more ideas of how aerodynamics are important to a car design? Yes, Tim. I got hair all up in my mouth. Blech.
In design because the car moves through the wind instead of being moved by the wind, so you get places.
Yes, aerodynamics will move the wind out of the way instead of being controlled by that wind. Very good. Okay, it is a very bad day when your car needs to turn right, but the wind pushes it left and you can do nothing about it. Okay, that's a bad day. So you want your car to be designed in a way that it has control. Aiden G, something to add.
Aerodynamics is important because if you have like a fire truck, the front end is flat. So if it's windy, the fire truck won't be able to like
Good. All right, you chopped up a lot, but I heard you talk about the shape of the car.
And
yes,
the wind
the shape
will
of
just
the car.
push the car to where it wants it to go. But if you have a car, I mean, like aerodynamic car, your car won't like go one does it to go.
Okay, there we go. I think we got it. Okay, so yes, aerodynamics, the shape of that car is going to control the direction and the design that you are going to go with your car, the direction you turn, the speed you're going to be able to keep, and so on. All right, second question that I want you to discuss with your breakout room. Do aesthetics help cars go faster or drive better? How or why not? Allow me to remind you of an aesthetic visual. Do aesthetics help you drive faster or better? Go discuss with your breakout rooms. We are out of time. So if you would like to, you can put a nice X right here, or you can answer it, but you're going to answer it later anyway, so it's fine. But you can put an X there. We're not going to have time for that one, okay? Oh, bye, Miss Bram, no problem. We're not going to have time for that one, okay? Do aesthetics help cars drive faster or better? Show me with your heads, yes or no. Do aesthetics help cars drive better or faster? No. No, they do not, okay? All they are is about the looks, okay? They're all about being fancy. They don't do anything to help aerodynamics, okay? All right, friends, let's talk about your independent work. Your independent work is slides 4, 5, and 6. On slide 4, you have a question to answer. How do aerodynamics affect a car? you're going to use these links to answer that question. Let me say that again. You're going to use these links to answer that question, which means if you just type something that you did with your partner, I'm going to know that you did not use these links to answer your question. Are we clear? Okay. Slide 5, you're going to use these links to answer the question. What types of things, that should say do designers add to cars to make them more aerodynamic? Use the link. If you just type things like wings, I'm going to know that you didn't use the link because wings aren't on the link. Okay? So what types of things do designers add to cars to make them more aerodynamic? Use these links. And finally, on slide 6, think about what you have learned. How will you design your car to be aerodynamic? I want you to type or voice record your answer. Okay? All right, friends. That is your assignment. Get it done. I'm looking forward to your research.